No. Well, it's the end of 2014, and that's usually a time when people are usually making the resolutions or thinking about things, what they want to do for next year, and so on and so forth. And honestly, I think resolutions are a pretty interesting thing to think about because well, firstly, is about whether people actually follow through with them or not, and the same equally goes for me. There's not a lot of harm in setting New Year's resolutions. Some people may be, still fresh from the Christmas spirit, and other people may have had a bit of quiet time to themselves to really think about things. And I mean, the New Year is coming, and it's a perfectly reasonable excuse to think about these things. Of course, whether people actually follow through with them or not is an entirely different matter. There's an image or two that I've seen around the internet that depicts two instances of the same gym. One instance is before the new year, and the other instance is after the new year. And for those who have seen it, they will know that the latter image will show this gym being crowded with people, whilst the image that is the gym before the new year will be, relatively empty or at least not as crowded. And for some people, their resolution is to lose weight, or to get fitter, or to bulk up, or to get muscles, that sort of thing. And it's an easy resolution to make, but it's not so easy to actually follow through because it's very easy to underestimate the amount of effort that's actually required to achieve noticeable results. The other thing about these kind of things is that some of the improvements are relatively small, and to see like significant results, you kind of need to be working on them for a long time. And usually with things like losing weight and such, a lot of people will very easily burn out. And yeah, it's just one of those things that comes with just underestimating how much effort or how much things are entirely left to other environmental circumstances which may or may not be out of your control. It's like we're saying, I want to have a well populated and popular YouTube channel by the end of next year. And already in that, there's so many factors that can really affect the success. Because one is me pushing through my anxiety to actually produce these videos to begin with. Another thing is popularity. It's like, well, I'm making vlogs, but that's something pretty much a lot of people do on YouTube anyway. And the other thing is that sort of like the viralness of videos, and the type of videos I'm thinking of making, may not necessarily be viral, and not that I'm actually looking to be popular anyway. But and it's just that and a whole bunch of other things that. One other thing I can also think of is like maybe having a niche or that sort of thing, and it's also dependent on what is accessible and what is attractive to the general population. And there's a couple of things that we can go into detail with, but that's not really the point of this vlog. The other point I'd like to touch on is the sort of the feeling of reward that comes with announcing these resolutions to other people. And depending on the type of person you are, the effect can go. Well, I suppose there are two main ways I could really think of. Some people like to announce their resolutions or even their goals in general to other people, since whether it is through social media or in person, or you just chatting with a group of friends. And the advantage of that is that it tells their friends what you're doing, so now you have an obligation to them to achieve what you told them you're about to do. And for some people that can be very motivating. It's sort of like a sense of responsibility and a way, it's a way of motivation. But for others, they may not be as fortunate because it's like, for example, it's like, say, if you announce the resolution on Facebook or Twitter, and maybe you have a whole bunch of people, they click like, they say, Yeah, go you. Congratulations. This is a worthwhile thing to do. Already there is a sense of reward from having this, let's just use Facebook, having these Facebook likes, comments, the amount of support, and for some people that's actually enough for them to, that's actually enough for them, and as a result, they don't end up actually following through with their with these resolutions or goals. And unfortunately, that's actually the case for me, which is, and unfortunately, it's the case for me, and so this is actually part of the reason. While even though I'm actually titling this vlog sort of like New Year's resolutions, I'm not actually going to mention any of them. Even though for those closer to me will sort of know in a way or other what they will be. So, well, I mean, it's a technicality. I'm not calling them resolutions, but you could call them resolutions. But I do have plans on things I would like to achieve next year. And, but I'll be honest here, I do tend to be a bit absent-minded at times, and even writing things down on a list, it's like, having a list to just stick it on the wall as a reminder of what you want to do, and I find that usually doesn't help me very well, because it's sort of like, once a list sort of becomes part of the background scenery, it's very easy for me to end up ignoring it as background scenery. And the other reason is sort of more also having a consistent source of motivation. And for me, when I spend a lot of time on the computer, so on YouTube, on games, and watching content, and it's very natural that already I have a consistent source of motivation in wanting to produce similar content. And the interesting thing that I was thinking about when sort of like thinking about what to say was that the one thing that's never really had any external influence or inspiration is sort of just my blogging in general, and I'm actually quite glad that I can combine sort of my blogging with vlogging, in the sense that what I'm actually doing right now is that I write a blog post, and I sort of use that as a script to talk during my vlogs, and you probably can't see it, but I've got a laptop down there with my blog entry down below. It's sort of like and if you see me look down, that's where I'm referring to the text or the script, just to sort of keep myself on track. But nevertheless, I digress. Happy New Year. May 2015 bring you good fortune, well wishes, resolutions or no resolutions.